Welcome back to Alicia Wake, part 11. In this part, we ask everybody's burning question. How much conditioner does she use?
Not as much as you think, honestly. Like a single serving, or however the hell it's actually measured, per shower session is all you really need in order to, have have strong, stable hair.
Oh yeah, and then it looks good with just about any jacket. Especially when the collar just so happens to look like the end of the hair that you had just taken so much care of.
All right, so the shotgun deals what 2 or 3 times as much damage as the handgun.
I don't think that's a shotgun. If I can move the thing over, yeah, that's a hunting rifle.
Sorry, the hunting rifle. Okay,
Oh,
now does it deal 2 or 3 times as much damage as the handgun?
I want to say 3 or 4. Yeah, it's
Ooh.
the rifle bullets are really powerful, and for good reason too, because there are a lot of, now that Mr. Douchebag has let me alone, and my kidnapped wife is still around here somewhere, I could finally get guns again.
Oh, gameplay. Why do you make us weak for an escort mission for 5 minutes and then have us be armed again?
Oh, video game, why must you give us areas like Toki Island? We don't like it when we don't have anything.
Um, I want to say that's a Breath of the Wild reference, but I'm not entirely sure.
It's Oracle of Ages.
Oh, Oracle of Ages, which is technically a Breath of the Wild reference. So there, haha.
Ah, you did it.
Actually,
Thermos. I must get the.
Yeah, Thermos. A thermos.
Go
All right.
on.
I remember going through Toki Island, and despite the trade quest, Toki Island wasn't really that bad of an area. It was just tied into the goddamn trade quest.
No, Toki Island is not that bad. If any saving grace can be given to that particular, area of the game, which lies in dubious esteem with many players, by the way, it's that you probably won't get a game over because there are no enemies, you won't take damage, and you also don't really need to defend yourself.
You threw him into the river, dude.
Ah, the water is the most supreme of all light sources. Who's drinking coffee out here?
Bridge.
This is a lumber mill.
It doesn't. No, this looks like it. It doesn't honestly look like a lumber mill, but then again, as far as I can recall, like the other building that I would associate this with would be a Forester's Guild, which is a lumber mill.
We are the Guild of Unified Foresters. We do not know how to swim. We're trying not to fall in the water.
Could we make a propaganda poster for the Guild of Unified Foresters?
Only you can say no to black stuff on the ground.
That could work. I
It
mean,
could.
it's very much ripping. It's very much ripping on the Smokey the Bear line. But then again, we're allowed to rip on him.
Hey, Smokey the Bear has no trademark. You don't have the information is free and it's helpful. Is that if you find charcoal, then something was burning. If something was burning, it means somebody fucked up, and they need to hear the wisdom of Smokey the Bear.
Unless, of course, it was a controlled fire.
Or a deliberate fire.
The logging site was a mess. The modular office had been pushed off the cliff.
Who pushes off their modular office?
Breathing hard from the
Modular offices are kind of cool.
It's weird. Don't you think that's weird? Bored, Mulligan let out a mighty snort. Hell, it's always weird, Thornton. Just a question of sorting out what kind of weird it is this time around.
I don't know, man. I find it significantly more weird when someone just pushes their modular office off of a cliff.
How big was the office? Was it? Did it have a TV? Did it have a desk? A window? Someone pretty to look at?
Did it
Receptionist?
have a platforming puzzle that you could fail?
Did he have pens? How many writing utensils have been lost? Oh,
More
good.
manuscript.
Even they're really just paging Mr. Wake.
Barry saw the darkness attack the visitor center. It made him a believer. The men Al said he'd shot, they hadn't been just locals on crank. Somehow the world had changed, like the channel had been switched without warning. You think you're watching a sitcom, and you're really watching a horror show. When the birds started attacking the cabin, Barry wasn't surprised, just terrified.
The sitcom horror show concept, isn't that pretty much the setup for Scream?
Yeah, because a lot of sitcoms will just like they'll have everybody sit around in the living room and just talk about tropes for 5 minutes. Oh, I'm sorry, that's Family Guy. So a sitcom would deconstruct some things, especially some characters against other characters, and then they come to realize that they're actually rationalizing their motivations to all brutally murder each other.
I've never actually seen any of the Scream movies.
Scream 1 was okay. I've seen most of Scream 1. I know just about how that movie goes. Do you know how it goes, Gerdat?
Kinda. I know it's a twist bad guy though.
It is a twist bad guy. You'd never see him coming. Don't you forget it. Widowmakers are
Why
spiders.
specifically Widowmakers? I mean, honestly, I like Widowmaker as an AI bot, certainly, but I've always found that Syzygy is usually a more interesting character profile to have.
I think he was talking about Widowmaker spiders.
Which is a really weird way to say them from out in my neck of the woods, because we would just call them Black Widows.
The darkness wears her face. Damn it, she cosplayed as a spider.
And I certainly hope now we're going to have a Shadow of War situation.
But yeah, Widowmaker, Black Widow, I think they just generally refer to poisonous spiders.
The thing is, there's only a couple of poisonous spiders in the U.S. that are actually dangerous to people.
Hence they're poisonous. Yes. Yeah, they are rare. I've for one have never I've never encountered a venomous spider. I'm still alive. Aha.
And that means that you don't really care about venomous spider regulations.
Regulations. We have a new policy in the United States. I'm afraid that we must restrict all households to only 3 spiders. 1 for the basement, another for the bathroom, and a 3rd for the attic. That is all.
Can we restrict the one in the bathroom to 0 in the bathroom, please? Having spiders in the bathroom is very freaky for some reason.
Well, how about the kitchen?
The kitchen is acceptable.
Okay. So, because, if you start leaving breadcrumbs around, the spiders will be more than happy to eat the ants that are coming for the breadcrumbs.
Which is a good thing the spiders do.
Yes.
Logs!
Which is why we must make friends with spiders. Rolling objects.
You're showing off the lighting engine with the mist effects.
I'm just dragging this out way longer than I should, honestly. I have 16 batteries. I have no excuse for not using my batteries to just wear out their shields. Instead, I'm taking the passive approach, which ultimately is going to backfire because that guy just tried charging me. He went behind the tree. But I haven't taken out his goddamn shield yet.
Huh. So those are both heavies?
Yeah, those were both heavies. They're trying to make the game difficult now. Now, instead of 1 heavy, there are 2.
Well, as long as we don't get ambushed by 3 heavies.
Well, 3 heavies is a party. 3 heavies is like, you just have to fucking back away. Or throw a flare. Flares are pretty powerful in this game.
So, what is the ammo cap that you can hold for your revolver?
Duh. I think I hit it right now, so I can hold 42 in reserve, and a full clip holds 6 bullets, so about 48 bullets total.
Okay.
Oh, those...
The flare has no. It is not the flare that has melted the gate. It is the heavy behind the gate.
What's a horror movie without a chainsaw-wielding psychopath?
About psychological horror instead.
Psychological horror, yes. We're not talking about the chainsaw itself. We're talking about how the chainsaw makes you feel.
Well, I would say that a large person wielding a chainsaw and charging at my direction is not necessarily as scary as a large person holding a chainsaw and then that is already revved up, charging at my direction.
Okay, so now I'm using good strategy. I'm actually using my batteries now.
And
reload.
7, 8.
Shoot him again. Okay. All right.
So it's a clip and a third, honestly.
I genuinely forgot there was a chainsaw guy here, and it kind of retroactively explains why some of the foresters were wearing ear protection. Chainsaws are fucking loud, dude.
Chainsaws are loud. I want to say that continued exposure to chainsaws is about as dangerous as a chainsaw sounds. Yeah, because continued exposure to chainsaws results usually in death as opposed to, hearing damage.
If you chop off somebody's head,
that is only
they
physical exposure to chainsaws.
Well, we were talking about emotional exposure to chainsaws.
That can cause elevated senses of trauma and despair.
Because, lest we forget, people do die of chainsaws.